This is my discussion slash review for So Help Me Todd episode 2, and they said that it's slated as a drama, but I'm getting a lot of hints of comedy. Let's talk about it.
Live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings, I'm a big
This episode wasn't as great as the first episode, in my opinion. It was still a good episode, but it just wasn't as great. We see this week that Todd's mom has taken on a case for the mayor, which is a scandal case that turns into a murder case. So there's a lot going on with that within itself, but what I like is that we get to see them working together. And after watching this entire episode, we see that the reason they can't quite get along is because they're the exact same. I mean, they're like the same person. There's one is just the mother and one is just the son, and that's something that they can't see from each other. But we're dealing with a lot of melodrama in this episode as well. We have a lot of office politics with Todd's mom and her boss, one of the named partners. You know, she wants to get her name on the building. She wants to become a named partner. She's bringing in so much revenue for the law firm and everything. She's handling high profile cases, and she feels like this scandal case, aka also a murder case, she feels like this is the perfect opportunity for her to try to at least push for her name to be on the building. And next thing you know, her boss comes in, one of the named partners, and tells her that, you know, well, this isn't going to be the case because I'm going to take over this case because it's the mayor. Even though she brought the client in, she has this repartee with his wife and him. You know, the named partner wants to handle it because it's such a high profile case. And that's where I was saying with the melodrama and stuff like that, and the office politics, because she's a woman and all this type of stuff. And no disrespect, it's just hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? He feels like because he's the higher status and this profile is just going to bring a lot of publicity, he feels like he needs to be the one to take it. And as the episode goes on, you can tell that he really didn't need to handle this because he doesn't know these people. He doesn't really know the specifics in and outs of the case. So I like how they handled that. It wasn't just, you know, well, he's a man and he's trying to take over her position and she's a woman. And, you know, they didn't really they didn't really simplify it. You know, they really made it understandable. You know what I'm saying? Bosses do try to take jobs from other employees, especially if there's a lot to gain from that job. And they really just kind of broke down that fact. And at the end of the episode, we realized that, hey, well, dude, you kind of fumbled the ball on that one, didn't you? And he didn't really want to trust Todd with this case and everything. But I feel like that's going to be the running gimmick of the show, is that Todd is going to be working all these other cases that he's supposed to be handling, but he's always going to come back and end up aiding his mom in the cases that she needs help with. Now, because she gave Todd the job for sure, but this episode, she gave Todd a specific job, which was to handle this water damage doll case, which was very low end on the spectrum. But Todd didn't want to handle that job. Todd wanted a more glamorous job, if you will, you know, since he's a detective for the firm, and he doesn't even have his license back. I thought she found a way to get him his license back, but that's not the case. He doesn't have his license back as of yet. But he wants to work the higher profile cases, and I feel like the running gimmick is going to be that even though he's supposed to be working these other jobs, he's going to end up eventually helping his mom with all of her cases and then handle the higher profile cases. That's going to be the running gimmick, I feel like. Now, I'm liking the show because it's slated as a drama, but this episode felt more comedic until certain aspects, in my opinion. And I'm not knocking that because I like the comedy. You know, it's not, they're not beating you over the head with it. It's very subtle, but Todd's character is more comedic than everything else. But him and his mom play off each other very, very well. And this episode showed that yet again. But when we're dealing with the serious aspects, they deal with the serious aspects as well. Like with the, with this particular case about the murder and the scandal and everything, you know, it led up being a joke at first, and then Todd investigated more and more, and we found out there was so much more to uncover. We see that the mayor's wife is dealing with some stuff. She's been blackmailed her entire life. She's been paying this dude, and we see that her son is actually this former teacher's son that she worked with at this school, and like there's a lot going on. Like even the aspect of them, you know, dealing with each other and finding that out in that moment, you know, Todd pulling the fire alarm. Like there's a lot of things going on around this whole case. But the fact that, like, sure, we're getting jokes throughout the series or throughout the episode, but we're also dealing with the serious aspects. Like the fact about Todd's sister this episode, we see that she's really, really really she's really dealing with the aspect of her husband. We know that there's something going on with their marriage. We saw that in the pilot, and this episode you can kind of feel that she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. We see that her husband is trying to talk and she cut him off, and Todd kind of notices these subtle changes, but her mother, I feel like her mother sees it, but she doesn't really want to acknowledge it a little bit. But Todd sees it all, and he hasn't said anything, but he notices it. And I feel like we're going to deal with the melodrama each week, but we're also going to get the seriousness, the melodrama, and the comedy aspect, even though it's slated as a drama. I'm loving the show. Honestly, I love Todd and Lyle's repartee. I love the fact that they go back and forth arguing and everything. And at the end of the episode, we see from these very first two episodes, we see that at the end of every episode, Todd and his mother kind of reconcile, and they kind of do these wonderful nods and notices to each other to kind of let them get back their footing towards each other, because we know they've been having this huge fight for 2 years, and after every episode we see that them kind of reconnecting a little bit. We also see this episode that Todd talked to his sister Allison, and their mother talked to Allison, and she kind of just gave them both an example, and they kind of just both took it and ran with it. And like, that's what I said when like they were the exact same person, you know what I'm saying? Like they have the same qualities, they just can't see it within each other. Overall, I'm loving the series, and I'm hoping it gets picked up for a second season, even though we're only 2 episodes in, because I'm loving the characters, I'm loving the story thus far. This is your boy Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe. Peace out.
I cannot complain because today, I'm doing my